July, Campaign4Truth, together with Eye on Anti-Semitism and UK FOI, took a letter to number 10 Downing Street asking the Prime Minister to dissent from this Iran agreement with the P5+1 countries. We haven't heard back from the Prime Minister, even though he said that he was considering our letter. So here we are outside the Iranian embassy in London, again having a protest to ask David Cameron to dissent from this agreement. And we have a message from Daniel Greenfield, the American blogger. And he says, on the September of another year, another Prime Minister stood outside 10 Downing Street and declared that he had brought peace for our time. The people were told not to worry, to go home and get a nice sleep. The paper, which Neville Chamberlain boasted had the name of Herr Hitler on it, proved to be worthless. It did not bring peace or even symbolize a Nazi desire for peace. All it represented was the willingness of a generation tired of war to delude itself into believing that it could have peace through appeasement. The crowds chanting for peace in London and Paris cursed the Czechs. A few years later, the British and the French were the Czechs, with the latter living under occupation and the former living under the bomb. Like Nazi Germany, Iran is a totalitarian regime. Like Nazi Germany, Iran is expanding by occupying its neighbors, by pitting neighbor against neighbor in bloody wars and civil wars that have already cost hundreds of thousands of lives. These wars have already involved the use of chemical weapons against civil populations.
Wow.
And yet our leaders and our betters would like us to believe that Iran may subsidize the use of chemical weapons, but that it would never use nuclear weapons. For those who want to deal with Iran, it's easy to dismiss the dead Syrian children, the worried Israelis, and the people of the other countries who are facing deadly battles against Iran's armies and terrorist militias. It's easy to dismiss all the inconvenient facts that stand in the way of the promise of peace for our time. The promise that we may sleep a nice quiet sleep in our hopes without having to worry about all these foreign people and their foreign wars. The inevitable tide of history, however, comes with its own alarm clock. Appeasing imperialist tyrants and maddened fanatics does not bring peace, it ensures war. Iran is already invading. Don't turn it off. Stanley, keep it on. Stanley, give me the camera, please.